Jennifer Nelson here, host of the Pocket Hours podcast. Here at Pocket Hours, I get to interview fabulous individuals in our industry to help educate us all and to up our game. We get to hear from them their secret sauce, how they are successful to hopefully help inspire us to do better work. The cool part is, as you listen to these interviews, you can also get clock hours on the go. So you listen to a podcast and then you email us at info@scoutrealestate.com to learn more about obtaining those hours. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in, and let's have some fun learning how to be better at what we do. I got to interview my friend, client first. She was a buyer and a seller, referred to me from another great client, but my friend Amber Nixon just now on the podcast, Healing Peak Regenerative Medicine. She's a naturopathic doctor. And I asked her to be on the show because I don't know, are there any realtors that are stressed? Probably a lot of us. And so she talks a lot about some very easy habits that we can implement to start to help our cortisol levels to come down, to help our insulin levels be where they need to be. Movement is medicine, water with electrolytes, sleep. I love how she said, your bed is your medical device. Get a good bed, get some good sleep. Anyway, these may be things that you've heard before, but she has a new slant on them. She has some really specific, easy ideas to implement. So I'm happy to have her on the show, and I hope it's helpful for you. Here we go. I'm super excited this morning because I am looking right now on screen at my friend Amber, who I've asked to be on the show. Dr. Amber Nixon with Healing Peak Regenerative Medicine is on the show because I said, please come and help us. Please come talk to us about some things we can do about stress. First of all, hi, Amber.
Hi.
Thanks for being on the show and taking time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd love to be here.
So, Amber, I've known you for years. You're a client of mine, have become a friend of mine. I know you have a couple little kids and a husband. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a naturopathic doctor and acupuncturist, and my background is in Bachelor's of Science in Nutrition. I specialize in primarily holistic pain care, which coincidentally spans the entire body because a lot of times pain comes from systemic causes like stress or hormone dysregulation and that sort of thing.
We, as real estate agents and just humans, sort of get in our grind and our normal things, and we just do the same thing. I read a stat the other day that said we do 80% of the same things every single day. 80% of our day is exactly the same as it was yesterday. That may be good and bad. Good if you're doing the right things, not so great if you're not, right? So tell us a little bit about what drew you to do the work you do.
I thought I was going to be a graphic design artist. I started college for that. It just wasn't the right fit. And I took a nutrition 101 course and I fell in love with it. I changed my major right after that quarter and I went pretty heavily into nutrition and food science. And then my dad got prostate cancer and he saw a naturopathic doctor. And I was a bit disenchanted with the higher level clinical courses for dietetics. It felt like the science that they had taught us in the previous courses didn't fit with the clinical treatments they were offering patients in hospitals. And so I knew I didn't want to become a dietitian. And I looked into naturopathic medicine because of my dad, and it was a great fit. I love the principles of naturopathic medicine. I thought, well, I want to live my life this way. And if I can help educate other people to live their lives the way that I feel passionate about, that, other people need to learn about, right? Or want to learn about, it'd be a great use of my time on this planet.
For sure. And that's been true. And I'll speak on my own experience in just a second. But I want to say I love when people land and end up in careers for such personal reasons, right? Like that's a passion and a draw that you can't compete with based on a book you read or, a college degree that you got that landed you at being an accountant. But when it comes from, I saw an opportunity to use my skills to get the education I needed to help my family. That's a pretty core value kind of coming forward. I want to go back for a second to say, I have been in Dr. Amber's office before at her clinic, and she has helped me numerous times. And here's what I'll say about Dr. Amber in specific, but then I'll say as sort of an overarching naturopathic medicine in general. And my experience on Western medicine versus naturopathic medicine, there's a place for both, is that she sits down and acts like she's got the day for you. Like you're sitting there and she is 100% focused on you and asking holistic questions, not just tell me where the pain is, but let's talk about your habits, etc. So that when you walk out of there, I felt like crying in the best way, like the best way of saying I felt seen and I felt like there was a plan and it wasn't just take this pill, right? So thank you, first of all. I don't know if I've ever done that
Yeah.
before, but hey, I'm
Yeah.
in public now, so there you go.
That touches my heart. Thank you so much.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good. As real estate agents, we spend a lot of time sort of, it seems like, at the whim of our clients' needs. So, what that turns into then is, oh my gosh, it's been 7 hours and I haven't had any food or water for that matter. I was just about to eat dinner and I've got to put that in the fridge and run to show these three houses. And as you mature in this industry, less of that happens, right? Thank God. But there's a whole bunch of people that feel sort of like they're at the whim of their clients. So, what that turns out being is a pretty unhealthy lifestyle in general for us. So I'd love for you to speak just for a minute about what you've found that can help people that run in sort of high stress environments to help reduce their stress, but keep them healthy at the same time.
I've thought a lot about this since you have asked me to come on here. And I spend a lot of my time, and I could talk about it for hours on how to do this because a lot of people live in fairly stressful lifestyles, but there are nuances to each type of lifestyle. What I would say is one, if there's a time of year that is best to start a new habit, even if it's a small habit, typically February and October are best for most people, but in real estate, it might be like June or something like that. Maybe it's not a lot lighter, but it's a little bit lighter. And so even doing small changes during that time can be really useful. As far as what you just spoke on, having options, basically making your healthy habit flexible so that in that specific situation, you already have an alternative in the freezer or something you can grab really quickly that's still a healthy option. So that in that moment on your way running out the door, you're getting at least like 10 grams of protein in a bar or in a stick, right? A meat stick or something like that, depending on your dietary choices, like if you're vegan or vegetarian or whatever. A really great book, Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've read that book, but small changes make huge changes later. Implementing some small things like that, where it might not be perfect, but don't get too lost in that. Just have something healthy to grab.
I like how you just kind of started right into habits to say, we are already doing habits,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? Like there's things that we're doing that are habits, whether we acknowledge them or not, that are kind of producing the results that we're getting. So if we don't like the results that we're getting, or if we feel depleted, or we don't have energy, or unhealthy, or overweight, or you name it, we have to change our habits. And so, kind of like what you said, like pick one, one habit and pick to start implementing at a time that isn't so crazy. And we're going to launch this episode as fast as we can because this is a great time in the life of real estate and the calendar of real estate to do that. Because February, I mean, really used to say our spring market started in February. It's usually starting in January now, but it's still a good time before sort of the rush of the next 5 or 6 months that are really heavy in our calendar year. So what can you do that's a habit? And so protein bars, or as you said, another snack that you can grab easily or have in your car, right? So let's talk about water for a minute because I mean, I'm trying my hardest and I'm doing a lot better. But what are some things that help someone who says, I never get enough water in a day? I don't know how to do it. I don't like the taste of water. How do I get water?
So there's a water bottle. I can't remember exactly the brand name, but it's glass and it's covered in silicone and it's 64 ounces. And it tells you where it gives you positive motivation throughout the day. Like, this is where you should be at 11 a.m. Good job. You're doing great. Keep it up. You're almost there, all the way down the water bottle. If you turn it around, you can see how many ounces you've had. And I tell people to buy like 3 or 4 of them and keep them everywhere. One in your car and just fill them up the night before. It's what I do. I fill up my water bottle the night before. I bring it with me to work. And great, if you get a bubbly water or something outside of that, that's fine, but it's a good consistent way to keep track of it. And then as far as flavor goes, if you don't like water, Noon is a great electrolyte to add and has a lot of different flavors. And LMNT, if you're exercising, is a great one too, just to get a different flavor.
And those have electrolytes in them. And so speak for a minute for pretend that people on this call don't even know what electrolytes are. Like what's the difference between a regular glass of water and a glass of water with electrolytes?
So hydration is not as simple as just drinking water. Hydration has to do with osmolarity, which is basically that one side of Let's say you split a box in two, one side of the box has a lot of molecules in it and one side of the box has none. And that's between your bloodstream and your cells. And so what has to happen is you have to shift the dynamic there so that you pull all the water into your cells. Electrolytes in water allow you to actually hydrate your cellular matrix versus just circulating fluid around your bloodstream. And so you can drink a lot of water and still be dehydrated. In fact, drinking too much water can cause dehydration. So, especially if you're exercising, it's really important to add electrolytes to water or buy water that already has electrolytes in it. I'd really highly encourage people not to use bottled water because of the studies we are seeing come out through about microplastics and bottled water being such a low grade form of plastic. Getting a glass water bottle or metal water bottle is really the best thing to do.
Environmentally too, like, let's get rid of plastic water bottles in general. Let's take them out of the mix. Do you always add electrolytes? Is it just sort of like, let's have a glass of water and let's just put electrolytes in it?
Just one, if you're working out heavily and you're sweating or you're someone who sweats a lot, you could add it twice. But just for a general, regular day to day person, one time would be enough.
In that 64-ounce bottle, would you add those? Just one, okay, one little tablet or one whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're good to go. Okay. For our listeners, we're going to find that bottle that she's talking about online and give you the link in the bio. You can look for it to be able to buy it. And then Noon, I've used that before. It's NUUN. NUUN is great to get electrolytes. There's so many options out there for getting electrolytes. So go ahead and do that. So bringing a water bottle, I have found that the water bottle that I drink out of the most is the straw part. It's so weird. Like, I would love to know the psychology around this. You put a glass of water in front of me that has no straw and a glass of water that I can pick up and suck out of. I mean, what the hell? But I will drink far more water when I can pick up the one and just suck water out of it. It's super weird. So if you're having trouble drinking water, try a straw. Try a water bottle with a straw.
Yes, 100%. This water bottle that I'm suggesting has both a straw and a separate hole, so you can decide.
Which one you want to do?
Yes.
It's so funny because I gave one to my mom this Christmas and she's so used to the water bottle that you tip up, it poured water all over her face. She was like, oh, I'm like, Mom, you don't have to turn it. You can just hold it and suck right out of it. You're good. I think it's called Odwalla or OD, whatever. That's the one I have that has the sort of flip lid and it becomes a straw and or you can kind of move it to have the hole. Anyway, so many options. I think I have 17 water bottles at my house. Find one that works for you. That's the whole story, right? Just get one that you'll drink out of. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about stress. We can hear about it and read about it, but when it comes down to it, what does it do to us, to our body functionally when we're under stress?
Functionally, your cortisol level raises. Cortisol is stress hormone. And, I'm sure everybody's heard of the fight or flight response. And especially in the United States, I feel like we're probably one of the more stressed societies or cultures. A lot of us are always in that flight or fight response. And as long as your cortisol levels are elevated, thinking that you're going to be chased by a bear, your insulin levels will increase. Insulin is actually a catabolic hormone, which is an inflammatory hormone which breaks down tissues. And so, even if you're eating the right foods, but your cortisol levels are elevated and then insulin is elevated as well, it becomes harder for your body to manage your blood sugars and your hormones because they're getting this kind of chronic message that your body is being chased. For example, your digestive system doesn't get as much blood flow while cortisol levels are elevated either. And so you're not going to digest your food as well. You can end up malnourished. Basically, cortisol has this cascade of effects all over the body, whether it be related to blood sugars, digestion, hormones. And over time, that has long term effects.
Somebody recently, I think it was a comedian that said, every time I hear someone talk about stress, I get stress. Part of this is then what? Sort of like, what can we do to help our bodies not be in that fight or flight when we're up against these deadlines, when we have these clients get going, and when, our partner is being a jerk and we have to handle whatever it is that's happening in your life? How can we lower those cortisol levels?
A couple ways. I was actually thinking about this too, and I don't know how possible this is because I'm not a real estate agent. But after you show a house or your last house, then if the neighborhood is conducive, taking a walk around the block, 10 minutes, nothing major. Being out in nature, getting fresh air, doing some deep breathing while you're doing that walk. You can get a, bonus round is what I like to call those things when you kind of layer the healthy habits on top of each other. But that would be one way. And then even if you can't do the walk, sitting in your car for 2 minutes, even one, and doing box breathing, which is count to four in, hold your count to four while your breath's in, count to four out, hold your breath while your breath is out. You can look up box breathing. And just doing that even for 1 minute, 10 times a day is going to lower your cortisol levels. And those itty bitty repetitive things like you were talking about, 80% of our day, we're doing all the same things. And so if you can just start to fold these itty bitty things in, they'll become a habit and you'll do it automatically. And then over the entire day, your cortisol levels have at least had a chance to reset, which will have a dramatic change over a month or two.
I love it. I love it. I think it's so funny that something as simple as breathing can change. I have a daughter who's 10 now. Can you believe that? And she gets in a tither about something. Woo. And I often will say, let's take a minute and breathe. And so something as simple as that physiologically sort of sends another message to our brain. The bear's not chasing you anymore. We can all calm down. We're okay. Box breathing. Yeah. And walking. So I read this book. I'm going to forget about it. It might have been in Atomic Habits, but it's talking about habit stacking.
Yeah,
Okay. Is that in that book? I don't know if it is.
it is. But it also is just generally known about.
Pocket Hours is brought to you by Scout Real Estate. Hi, I'm Jennifer Nelson, owner at Scout Real Estate. I started this firm with the vision of doing things differently, with our focus on legendary service for our clients and creating a community of producing agents to spur each other to do higher quality work. If you are interested in learning more about how a small group of like-minded brokers have come together to have some fun while doing a lot of business, reach out to me, 206-227-7966, or email jennifer@scoutrealestate.com. I promise you this, fun is a high priority for me, but so is winning. So if you appreciate those two things, you might be interested in Scout. Looking forward to hearing from you.
So this idea just that you're already doing something, let's say walking, let's hope that's happening. What else can you stack on top of that habit that you're already doing? That's another great habit. So you just sort of mentioned if you're walking for even 5 minutes around after you've shown your last house, can you do that breathing at the same time to sort of bring that insulin and cortisol levels down? Very cool. Let's talk about sleep for a minute. People with young children, which is you also, and was me, or people that generally have sort of this insomniac thing going on. One of the things that I read about, and Amber, I'd love for you to speak to this too, is how important sleep is to helping our stress and why that matters.
Possibly one of the most important basic therapeutic guidelines. In naturopathic medicine, we have what are called basic therapeutic guidelines, and they're the foundations of health. And so one of those pillars is sleep, as you can imagine what the others are: nutrition and exercise, or movement of your body, and then your spirituality, your relationship with yourself, with your environment. So sleep, your bed is a medical device. It's what I tell all my patients. If you're going to spend money on something, spend it on your bed. Make sure that it works for you, that it's the right fit for you, whether it's a sleep number or something else. Do your research. Make sure that your bed is a restful place for your body where it can heal. And then secondly, there's a couple things that can happen during sleep that can be challenging. One is that your blood sugar is dysregulated, and so you wake up in the middle of the night. I mean, that can happen with hormonal shifts as people transition through perimenopause as well. Women, I think, struggle with this a lot more than men in general. There's a couple different tactics for that. You can either have a protein snack directly before bed, maybe 20 to 30 minutes, only protein, a hard-boiled egg or something like that, a handful of nuts, and see if that helps you not wake up through those middle hours. Or you can try stopping your eating by like 7 or 8 o'clock to make sure that you don't get a blood sugar spike during the night. As I spoke about earlier, that high cortisol levels through the day can cause an insulin rush. And so it can be more challenging to manage blood sugar levels through sleep. And those are a couple of things that people can try.
That's so cool. I've never heard about that. I want to speak just for a minute about real estate agents staying up too late. Let's talk about devices, our phones, and sort of all of that. Talk to us about how our body shuts down for sleeping.
Any blue light 2 hours before sleep, so any screens 2 hours prior, can decrease melatonin levels and make it harder to fall asleep. Melatonin is a hormone that helps your body fall asleep but not stay asleep. And using your screen or phone 2 hours prior to going to bed is going to essentially deplete those levels. You can supplement with that hormone. You can wear blue light glasses. Obviously, with your profession, maybe it's not possible for you to do that, especially if you're staying up till midnight and then you're like, okay, I had to do that for my job. So what do I do now? Right. And so blue light glasses are a really great way to help like decrease that load. And then having a routine, even if it's the box breathing or something like that, even if it's midnight, doing like a 15-minute yoga stretch or some stretching or something where you're doing some breathing, regardless of like how late you stayed up, just to get your body prepared for sleep. We call it sleep hygiene. You can create a routine around sleep that happens no matter what. And then your body will get used to that. And it will be like, oh, this is my shutdown routine. Just like little kids, right? We brush our teeth, we put on our jammies, we read our book, we have our quiet time, we go to bed. And they get used to that. And then their body just goes, oh, it's time for me to fall asleep, right? Of course, it's not always that easy, but that's that general idea.
And that's that signal, right? Those are the signals that our body knows. They know to look for to say, oh, this is happening. Therefore, we know this comes next, right? So that habit. I've been into lately this meditative music. It sounds like you're at a spa, right? And there's a timer. If you all don't know this on your iPhone, you can push any music on Spotify or if it's another app. And then you scroll down at the very bottom and it says sleep timer and 15 minutes. And I push play and I do my other routines that I do and I lay in bed. And my body's like, "Oh, they hear that I swear if I'm walking down the street and someone's playing that music, I would just feel like I need to go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And that's the point of it. It's supposed to trigger your body to know this is what's happening next. I love that you just said that there's a routine. I forget the word you used. I was trying to take notes, but there's a sleep routine that you should do just like you do other routines, a sleep habit, that if you can practice that same thing every night, that your body then knows what to do. I love that your bed is a medical device too. That's pretty awesome. So, real estate agents listening, do you have a shitty bed? Get rid of it. Spend some money there. Make sure that you're ready to go. And devices. It is so easy to feel like I'm going to wind down by getting on Instagram and scrolling our, lives away. And instead say, I'm going to do that because maybe you enjoy that. But then to your point, either I'm going to put on those blue glasses or I'm going to say, I'm going to stop at 9 because I know I like to go to bed at 10. And for that last hour, I'm going to read a book. I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to do something besides triggering my brain to stay awake.
That's something that we call exhaustive rest, the doom scrolling, because you're feeling like you're getting rest, but you're actually stimulating dopamine levels and it's perpetually exhausting you more than you realize. And so it's really good to give yourself a time limit because that can be an addictive behavior. It's a slippery slope to keep going.
For sure. Josh Whalen, he's my financial advisor, and he will, I think, reportedly say that he's got ADHD and he loves the devices and the notifications. And so one of the things that he does is to shut off all notifications on his phone, period. And when it comes to scrolling, he's like, I'm 15 minutes a day. It's at the same time every day that I go into all the different places that I am on the apps and scroll for 15 minutes, see what I need to see, comment on what I need to comment on, and then turn off notification, make sure that it's not letting me know anything else in the other parts of the day. Cause he's like, otherwise, I'm in the middle of writing something really important and I get a notification and immediately I'm distracted and have to respond to somebody's kid winning a soccer game. Like, who cares, right? I'm writing something at work, and yet I feel like I need to respond. So I love it. Talk to us about the broker who says, I don't know how to get exercise because I have 3 kids and, I'm married and I'm working real estate and I'm trying to pack lunches and get them to their soccer practice, right? The myriad of things calling for us. So what could they do to get their body moving?
Again, with the 10 minutes of walking, it doesn't take a lot after they show their last house. Even 5 minutes of walking consistently every day is better than what they were doing before. That's what I think stops people a lot of the time is they're like, in their minds, they think, I need to work out 5 days a week for 30 minutes each time. And that's not what needs to happen if you're not moving at all. And so just an extra 5 minutes after showing their last house, or parents who are carting their children all over the place for soccer practice, what are you doing when they're at practice? Can you stay for the practice and walk around the field that they're practicing on? Find little spaces in time. There's an app that I really love that's worked for me. It's a little more than that 5 or 10 days of walking, but you want to remove all your barriers, or what we call obstacles to cure. So I use an app called Sweat. It's Kayla Epstein's. And in that app, and there are lots of apps out there, she's not the only one. It's just I've used her for years and I really love it. It's all women owned, women, all women, which is a big passion of mine as well. So you can do 3 exercises a week. They're 28 minutes. You hit the go button, you put your music on, and you're done after 28 minutes. And it's very easy. And there's a no equipment component. She's taken every excuse that you could have. You could do it in a hotel room. You can do it in your bedroom. You can do it anywhere. There's also short ones. If you're like, I don't have that much time, she gives you options to pick like a 10-minute one or a 5-minute one of what is called high intensity interval training, which is a really big bang for your buck when you're exercising, and especially for perimenopausal women or postpartum women. It really also helps regulate your hormones. So again, it's what I like to call a bonus round, right? You get an extra bang for your buck than kind of like with the breathing and walking.
Yeah. 28 minutes, man. It's funny because we do have those excuses like, well, I don't have the right shoes. I don't have a gym in my house, or it's raining outside, or man, the list goes on. I don't have enough time. I think that's the big one. I don't have enough time. And being able to say, let's start with the 5-minute walk that you could do after you show your last house. Start there. Let's start there. And then build up to 10 minutes, and then build up to, I'm going to wake up 30 minutes earlier every day and do this workout and see how that changes. We all know that the ship that's out at sea and they change course by 1 degree. And then at the end, where does that land them? And it's a completely different place over time. And so trying to remember, it's a good reminder for me too, that the one tiny habit that we can change makes such a difference over time.
And the one thing additionally I'll say about that is that if there is a month like Christmas, for example, where you get off, I think the 2 major things as I was thinking about this podcast were building in little habits. And also, if you get derailed, don't beat yourself up. Just go back to what you were doing. A lot of people, when it's like, well, the last 6 weeks, I haven't done any of those things and it's so hard to get going again, just get going on your 5-minute walk. Even if you had accelerated to the 30 minutes you woke up or whatever, like start back at square one and just repeat that process. Don't spend time beating yourself up about it.
Yeah, it's a great point. And to put it in realtor speak, I want to say that if we had a buyer that wrote an offer on a house and didn't get it, and then they were like, forget it, I'm not going to buy a house. We'd be like, what? Wait, what? I thought you wanted to buy a house. So, right, like, let's think about it if we're on the other side of that, saying that doesn't actually make sense. Your goal is to own a home. And so it didn't work the first time. And instead of throwing it all away, your goal still remains. So, how can we say, okay, we're going to try again? We're going to get back on that horse, all the things, right? And does that have to mean that we're committing 3 hours a day to working out? No, it has to mean that we grabbed a protein bar on our way out the door. Winning. We're winning. We have a protein bar in our car. Yay.
Yep.
Check, check.
Check, check, check.
Yeah, exactly. So what else can you think of if there's anything else we've forgotten or haven't talked about in terms of kind of stress management? I mean, we've talked about sleep, we've talked about movement as medicine, any movement as medicine. We've talked about water and electrolytes. We've talked about getting maybe this app called Sweat or another thing to get us to move when there's no machinery that we need to have. What else would you say?
One of the things to understand about your stress system and your adrenal hormones, your adrenals are your organs that sit on top of your kidneys. In naturopathic medicine, we say that they're the foundation of your hormonal house and they manage the stress response. And adrenals like routine. So the more that you can implement these little things that your body can expect in consistent lifestyle, the more you're going to prevent yourself from getting adrenal fatigue, which then is that downward cascade of having to climb yourself out of that hole.
I know that there are listeners like Amber and I on this call right now that are parents. And oftentimes I remind myself that my kid does so much better when there's routine. And it's funny that we think kids need structure. And I'm like, I need structure.
Yeah, right
We
here.
all need structure. Yeah, right. And when we have that structure, everything is calmed down because there's predictability. And because we know we're doing habits that build ourselves up and that help us remain healthy and all the things. Yeah. So if you're listening to this call and you say, oh my gosh, this is all amazing. It's great information. I feel overwhelmed. I'm kind of blacking out because I don't know how to do anything. What would you say, Amber, to that? How do you get started?
Well, they're welcome to schedule with me, of course. I typically, one-on-one situation similar to your experience is, okay, how do we break this down? Where do we start? How do we have some accountability? Additionally, if you want to start something, it's always nice to have a group. A lot of times, if I'm asking someone to do some kind of dietary change, I'll say, hey, can you ask your partner to do this with you? And you guys can do it together and make it fun, or your best friend or something like that, and have them listen to the podcast as well and say, okay, let's pick one thing out of everything they said, and we're going to tackle that one thing, not the whole thing at once.
I love it. Let's say I don't drink enough water. So I'm going to buy a water bottle that has a straw because we all know. I'm going to just say, I'm going to drink this water bottle all the way down every day. And once that becomes sort of unconscious, if you will, like I always take my water bottle, right? I always drink it down. Then I feel like there's that chance to tackle the next one and make that sort of unconscious. Yeah. Okay.
Don't pick the hardest one first.
Yeah. Right. 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 I love that you just said about accountability too, as in life in general. If we have this kind of secret goal, there's so much studies to say that when we say it out loud and when we ask someone else to keep us accountable to it, we're way more likely to hit it. I read this thing one time that was amazing to me. It said people that have goals in their head have this much success. People that write them down have 30% more chance of achieving the goal than the people that don't write them down, just for writing them down. And I wonder what it would be if you talk about it and share it with someone, how much more exponentially, percentage wise, you're more likely to hit that goal. And that's because of our egos. Thank God for our egos, right?
Yeah.
Once we say it, man, we want to be right
Yeah.
about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. This is awesome information. I so appreciate it. And I know from my own personal experience, as I mentioned, that coming to see you is like sitting down with someone who gives a shit about you and who has so much knowledge to impart. And you do it in such an easy way. I know listeners after hearing this are going to be like, ooh, wow, that's a doctor? That's amazing. Let's go do that. So Amber, what's the best way to schedule with you? To just go to look up Dr. Amber Nixon, or how would that work?
Healingpeak.com is my website. My phone number is 206-899-6000. So they can just give me a call. Pretty easy phone number to remember. And I have an office in Edmonds, and I also have an office in South Sound in Renton. They can see me in person or virtually. I'm pretty easy to Google.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I love it. She's Edmonds or she's way down here. So if you're anywhere in between, you could pick an office. And I love that virtual. I know you and I have had a couple of virtual meetings. So if your schedule's tight, but you still know you want to prioritize getting on the ball about this, and not to scare people, but I really do want to drive home. How important is it to manage the stress if this goes unchecked? And if we sort of live in that high cortisol place, what are we talking about?
About 5 years into my career, I really realized that every single thing that someone came into my office for was caused by stress. Everything. Type 2 diabetes. Of course, we all have genetic issues or this or that or whatever. But ultimately, high cortisol levels drive cellular division and cancer, high insulin levels. Again, not to scare people, but really learning how to manage your stress is the fountain of youth. It is the thing we're looking for. And so I can't stress it enough how important it is.
I love that I can't stress it enough. No pun intended, folks. No pun intended.
But
That's right.
yeah,
Take care of your body. We real estate will be there forever. There'll always be another transaction. There'll always be another client, but you got one body, you got one go around. And if you don't take care of your body, you can't help anybody, right? It's the put on your own mask before you put on your kid's mask on the airplane analogy. So I'm so glad you came on the show.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you taking the time. And remember, Dr. Amber Nixon is at healingpeak.com.
Yep.
Well, that's easy. Healingpeak.com at 899-6000. Did I get that right too? I'm Rain Man. Look at me. I got all the numbers rolling. Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you again, Amber. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for listening into Pocket Hours. I hope this has been interesting, fun, made you laugh, made you think, spurred you on to do and implement some new things in your business. I appreciate your time and hope this has been a good use of it, period. Now, go be the agent you would hire.